From the bottom, we out here getting it. Don't know what a limit is. Only surround yourself with people you plan to finish with. Consistency the key, unlock the door to your dreams. Prepare, plan, and execute, complete, and then repeat.
What up? Back with another episode of From the Bottom podcast. As always, we got your host Fitz. We got Ty.
What it do? What it do?
We got Shalisha.
Good evening.
We got Tati.
Hello.
Yeah. So how is everybody before we get into this?
I'm good. I'm great. Exceptional.
Such insight.
I passed one of my exams today, so I'm really excited about that. We're going swimming later to celebrate. Woo-hoo.
Shalisha and Tati are going swimming.
And Robert, you playing. I already told you what was up. He did acting like he's not going to listen.
Now I'm definitely not going.
We had a conversation. And
you had a conversation.
No, we agreed.
She told me I was going and I didn't reply. So in her mind, that's me saying I'm going.
I feel like ain't nothing wrong with all of us going a little nice swimming to celebrate. Got some wine coolers. He ain't got to partake in that part, but he can sit in the chair in the water and read his book.
Just like I planned to do.
Yep.
How about you, Tati? Let's get a different side of the dictatorship.
What?
We're going dictator. We need somebody with like a more of a soft, humble soul.
I am a soft, humble soul. You've been playing.
I don't have any personal opinions about what was just said. And as far as life goes, it's been going good. I'm also taking an exam soon to get my mortgage loan origination license. And that's going to be next Wednesday. So wish me luck.
Good luck. You got this.
Thank you.
You got this.
I don't wish people luck who don't need it.
Oh, wow.
Think about it.
Thank you for that. That was nice.
She said thank you.
What? Huh? Think about it. No, that makes sense. I got you.
No, I'm telling the people to think about it.
Oh.
It's not all about you, Tatiana. Dang. What about you, Ty?
I don't know if I can match the demonic energy over there, but
Who has the money?
life is good, bro. Like everything's falling in place the way it needs to, and we just pushing forward.
I heard that you won like $100 on a scratch ticket. Is that true?
Yeah, and then I got another scratch off and won another 200.
So you're up about 300.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's good.
That's good luck.
Yeah. Grateful.
That's what's up. All the people out there, we do not advocate buying scratch tickets. This is not financial advice. This is not a stable way to make money. Ty was just up on his luck. He's going for the Powerball tonight. So we'll see what happens. If you win, we want a full studio.
I don't think I think that's your money. You got to do what you
I got to listen to some stuff.
No, dude. Don't let nobody touch your money, man. Just budget it. No matter
Thank
what.
you, Tatiana. Thank you.
Budget your money and don't. A lot of people win the lottery and that money just goes poof.
Break a little bit off for Fitz only.
Thank you. Humbly. With grace. Appreciate that. I guess I've been good. Just been chilling, working, getting back into the rhythm of everything, trying to figure out different ways to get our message to more people. It's crazy because I created a Facebook like 4 years ago for a class project and I never shut it down. Like I just kept it open. It's called Meditation Challenge. And I did it for like a positive psychology course just because you had to like do something that was helping people. So I created a Facebook page called the Meditation Challenge where I just give tips on meditation. I did like a live meditation. People laughed because they didn't know what it was, all this stuff.
So you recorded yourself doing a meditation?
Yeah, I recorded myself doing a meditation. I posted
on his Facebook page?
Yeah.
And
You roasted them.
It's called the Meditation Challenge.
Ooh, let me
And I only posted like maybe 5 or 6 times up until recently, but within the last few weeks, it went up from like 30 people on it. It went to like 130 or whatever, just out of nowhere. People just started liking the page, following it.
This one?
No, that's not it. People just started liking it. And then today I wasn't even looking to look. I just scrolling through, and it has like 530 people that follow the page. And I haven't done anything with the page. Like I haven't marketed it. It's just been sitting there. And then all of a sudden, within the last month and a half, like 400 and something people followed the page. And it's like, it got more than the pages that I actually market. Like it has more followers. So I'm just like, it was a crazy thing to see, because it's like, I'm not putting any energy into this, and it's getting more attention kind of than the pages that I am putting energy into. So that was kind of crazy to see and irritating. It was irritating. But,
Why?
well, just because, like I'm not even putting any energy into this, and it's getting people following it. And then this other stuff where all the gold is at, it's like people not really following it, but I got it. It's the title. Like it's the title of the page, the meditation challenge. So people looking up meditation, that might pop up, and then they join it, not really knowing that I don't even get on this page. So it made me realize it's just the title and not really the page. And as I'm thinking about it, I think in people's lives, they go for the title and not necessarily the content within other people or themselves. So, this page that has all this gold and this fire material doesn't really get attention, but the page with the good title, it gets all the attention. So it's like a lot of people compromise and try to get that good title instead of trying to have that good content and that good, in human perspective, like personality or characteristics and stuff like that.
Why not have both? Maybe change up the title on the other page.
Yeah, I did that. I switched up the title just to test it out. Well, I just did it today, and it takes 3 to 5 business days to change it. So
yeah,
we'll
I think
see.
it's just meditation's a trendy thing, so a lot of people are looking that up.
Yeah, nobody looks up FITZMINDSET.
Very specific thing.
Right.
It's interesting because I made a little Instagram for my dogs, right? And I don't really be on Instagram or any social media that much. So I did delete my Instagram last night because I'm gonna just operate off of theirs. But they got more followers than I had. I'm talking about like 400 already. And some of these other dogs, I mean, it's just dogs, dogs make you happy, whatever. But some of these dogs got like 3,000, 5,000 people. I'm like, dang, bro. Like and it's crazy how much everybody follows everybody. There's no like, oh, I'm gonna follow you and then unfollow you because I want to have this many followers. But like everybody just kind of posts all the time whenever they feel like it, as if their dog was a real person. Wow. But it's interesting. I felt the same way. I'm like, dang, bro, I can't even get, I got maybe 200, 300 people on my Instagram, 45 likes. Where the rest of y'all at?
Right.
It's interesting, man. And a lot of people growing out of social media, but I think a lot of people only want to see you doing less than them to like it. So,
yeah.
It's interesting.
When you say see you do it less than them, what do you mean?
So they want to see somebody else doing lesser than them. So some people don't like when other people are doing better.
Oh, okay.
So accomplishments, school, making more money, a car, whatever. They're just not happy for them because they not there yet.
I agree. I'm gonna have to get a dog and post it on my page for a few weeks to get.
You're gonna do what?
I'm gonna get a dog, not a physical dog, a picture of a dog.
Oh.
A picture. Just have Ty send a picture.
That was a close one.
It ain't worth all that. I'll go down to 0 followers before all that happened.
I was gonna say, oh, I get a dog. Okay.
But yeah.
Excited for a second. Just a little bit.
You got a house full of animals already.
I have no comments on that.
Wait,
There
who?
you go, smart man, very smart man.
What are you talking about? You talking about Robert?
No, he was saying that you and Shalisha were animals.
Dang.
Tati.
He was
Oh,
joking.
I was talking about one of them.
Oh, he's talking about Shalisha. So
Well,
you
he
good.
said one of them. How do you know it's Shalisha? He said,
Who he
I
always
know.
talking about?
oh, I guess, yeah, you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we are technically part of the animal kingdom. We are humans. I don't know. What type of primate?
Well, let's get into this topic.
Oh Lord.
Let's get into this topic.
Uh,
So as I was thinking about this week's topic earlier on my drive, I was really more so focused on not the topic, but how when we talk about the topic, it's interesting because each week we get on here and we talk about different things, but this topic in general, I think, is very misunderstood. And it's really, I'll just go ahead and introduce it. So topic this week is going to be about trying to find a healthy balance. And it's a weird phrase because how do you find something? Like, how do you find, like, I feel like when you try to find a healthy balance, you take yourself out of the equation. Like, it's something I have to go look for instead of something that I have to do. So that's what I was thinking about in terms of finding a healthy balance, just the way that we use phrases and frame things. What do you guys think about that? Like, how we just talk about a healthy balance in our lives?
so I do think that a healthy
I'm
balance
not
is something
understanding your
is.
question.
Oh.
I'll rephrase it. So when we talk about a healthy balance, I hear people say a lot of the time, I have to find a healthy balance, like
Right.
keyword find.
Okay.
So I look at find as something that you have to go out there and look for instead of something that is already within you that you have to work towards. I look at finding as like, oh, something is missing and I have to go find it and I'll find it in this location. But I look at, working for a healthy balance or developing a healthy balance as something different. So the question was like, when we talk about a healthy balance and the way that we frame it and the way that we describe it, what role do you think that plays in having a healthy balance in your life?
I do.
Or
Go ahead.
is it still confusing? Shalisha?
No.
Okay.
So I do often hear when it comes to discussing a healthy balance that people tend to say finding it. And I don't know if they mean, I see what you're saying, like your perspective, like seeking it out, like finding it in a location.
Mhm.
I always thought it was like, finding your equilibrium, like it's like you're off balance and you have to try and find that balance and you have to try and get yourself in that right spot, that sweet spot where everything is equal or you have that healthy balance in that case. And so when I thought of when I hear find healthy balance, I never thought it was like something that was outside of the self. I thought it was something that was within yourself and you just have to find it within yourself and you have to, whatever you're trying to balance within yourself, you have to find that, like find what the correct ratios and where the weights need to be in order for that balance to be achieved. That's how I took it.
What about you, Shalisha?
I agree. I personally use the word find, like Tati said, it's finding something within yourself, a way to make everything work, whether it's your work, your personal life, school, whatever. We tend to put a lot of things on our plate and not necessarily saying that you have to go somewhere else to look for it, but sometimes you have to dig a little bit deeper in yourself just to find what works for you. So I think you can use the word find and still mean it in terms of you personally and not outside forces.
What do you think, Ty?
I don't know if I ever use the word find. It's interesting to think about the terminology. I always think I say you gotta have it. You gotta have the healthy balance. So I don't know if I tell people to find it. It's either you got it or you don't. And if you don't got it, you're gonna have to develop you some. I don't know about going out and finding it. But I think I tell people you gotta have it.
Why? What is the difference for you? Like, I know you said you never said it.
I think it's something you develop. I don't think it's something that you find. I mean, I guess it depends on what you're doing, but for me, it's always been developed. Even if it's small, it still grows into something else. So, was like time management. Time management is something that's a healthy balance for me. I have to have that. There's no, I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna keep procrastinating. It's you got to do this, this, and this, and this. How you gonna make it happen? So more of that get it done mentality, and then it turns into the healthy balance, I guess you could say.
So do you look at finding it as abstract, but having it as like more concrete, like saying you have to have it?
I guess you could say that, yeah.
So that's interesting. So what do you guys think when you hear that? Like Ty's perspective, just his whole idea, because it sounds like what you're saying is that finding is more, your
Procrastination.
What was it?
Procrastination.
It leaves room for procrastination, whereas saying you have to have it, it puts you on a clearer path.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
I don't really know. I don't feel like finding it is procrastination, just in my personal opinion, because you can't have he's saying the word have, but if you don't have balance in your life, you have to go get it or find it in order to have it. So without
balance isn't within yourself.
It is, but without knowing how to really put that when you're juggling new things and different things at one time, you still have to find it within yourself. That's just how I look at it. Like for me personally, with everything and that I'm juggling and transitioning, not having that balance has thrown me off in different categories. And I really haven't been focusing or putting, I guess you could say, the right amount of attention to certain things, which causes me to not get the results that I want. And it causes me to stress. And then because I'm stressing, it can lead to me becoming burnt out. So for me, finding that balance is making sure that I'm putting the right amount of energy into all of my little pots that I have that doesn't make me burnt out, but I still put in the necessary work to get the things I need done.
I think I see both sides. What I'm thinking now is like, when we use the word find, it makes the assumption that something is lost. That's what I think of when I hear find.
Yeah.
Like if I lose my keys, it's like, dang, where are my keys? I gotta find them. Whereas if I know where my keys are, but it's like, okay, I have to get my keys. Here's what I have to do to get them. I have to get off the couch, open up the drawer, and get my keys. That sounds more like what Ty's saying. And what I hear from Shalisha is, I don't necessarily know where my keys are. I have to go find my keys, but I think I'm gonna find them, but I don't know. I don't necessarily know where to start looking to get them, but it seems like you know where to start looking in order to develop balance in your life. You just have to do it.
So maybe a better word is discover and not find, because you can discover something that from your perspective was not already lost. Like I discovered a penny on the floor when I was walking around, but I didn't lose a penny. I just discovered the penny.
Yeah,
but you didn't do anything with it. That's what I'm getting at. You already have all the tools. You have to develop them. So if I go outside and I say, "Oh, I discovered $1," but I just left it there, I didn't do nothing with it.
So you're more about the application of it. And I think discover is an interesting word.
Find.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting word, but I think developing is more like, you know what you want, and finding is you're going to understand more what you want as you look in different areas.
Yeah, you can't develop something that you don't have. So if you don't have balance, you can't in your life, then you can't develop it. But once you go find it and you get a sense of it and you're applying it, then once you find it, then you can develop it and help it grow. But you can't.
Everybody has
something
balance.
that you don't have.
Everybody has balance. You can't say nobody has balance.
I don't think so.
Well, I think when we talk about balance, it's not necessarily, because balance, how do you know that you're balanced if you don't know what you want? So in my eyes, you have to know what you want in order to try to be balanced. So how do you go, like if you were to go try to find balance, how do you know that you're balanced if you don't know what you want when you go look for it?
Okay.
I think you still be balanced though. You don't necessarily, balance is not necessarily knowing what you want. It's about being in a straight line. So when somebody said, well, like when Shalisha's saying that she don't think everybody has balance, they do. They just haven't developed it more. It's there. It's there. That's why people always say, if you want to find peace within yourself, because it's in yourself. So I think for people who don't know what they want to do, they can still have balance, and it bring them there faster, having that balance to where if they're all over the place.
So what is your definition of balance? Because maybe if we all get on the same page with our definitions, what we're saying will make more sense. Because I'm thinking, well, based on what my understanding of what you're saying is, if everybody has balance, that means no matter how much chaos you're in, you have balance. I don't know. Yeah, what is your definition of balance?
Even in the chaoticness, you still have balance. It may look like it may not look like it, but you still got it. You still have to figure out the solution, right? To your problems, right? So let's say you have a chaotic moment. Let's say you're at work, chaotic moment. You still have to find a solution to that chaoticness, right? So you might be off a little bit, but you're gonna put the other foot down and get balanced to figure out a solution. So you're gonna have to develop that balance even more, because it's gonna require you to give more. Does that make sense?
Say it one more time. This is like you.
I think I got what he said. Maybe
So
I could.
Like on one leg.
Let's say this. Let's say you're at work and something just blindsides you. All right. Imagine if Robert pushed you and you're on one foot, right? So in order for you to get, so you're at work.
Kick the door down.
Yes. So let's just say you're on one foot at work. You going, like something just blindsided you. Somebody just ran past you really fast or whatever. Okay. In order to get back to where you need to be, you have to put the other foot down. So at some point it kicks into your head, I have to develop more balance.
What happens if I fall?
Aren't you gonna get back up?
Yeah, but when you'll
be balanced again.
Did I lose the balance? Isn't that like losing your balance? Isn't that what? Then you lost the balance. But if you lose the balance at that moment, did you not have balance?
You're confusing me now.
I don't know. I feel like it just
I
can vary. I don't know, for different people. I feel like
balance for me means just being centered, like just having everything the way you need it to be. It's not really anything. It's just a simple definition, just having everything centered. But you have it inside you. You just have to develop, like time management. You don't go and find time management. You develop time management, right?
Right.
So that's why I say I feel like it's already in you. You just have to develop it. It's not about finding it, it's about pulling it out of you and putting it to work. So it's either you got it or you don't got it.
So developing balance in your life is like developing any other skill. And there's a base level for the skill that we all have. And in order to improve upon that skill, we have to develop the skill.
Correct.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of where I was looking at it, like the developing the skill part is, in my opinion, knowing what you want to get it aligned with what it is that you want. So like if you want to get into college, but you don't want to have student debt, maybe a way to balance that out is to get a job that pays enough to, you know, pay off your student debt or whatever, or your bills for college. But in order to do that, you would have to know that that's what you wanted. But I do think we have a general sense of balance. Like I think the world has a general sense of balance just as it is. And the more that, like one thing I wrote down earlier is people try to find balance before they find themselves. And I think that that's a big problem, which I don't consider it finding yourself. Like that, the find word kind of, it throws me off. I would say develop. Like people want to develop balance before they develop themselves. And I kind of feel like it should work simultaneously and not, you know, you go and get one and then you go and get the other. Yeah, I think balance is just one of those things where it's different for everyone and everyone has their own way of looking at it and seeing it, and whatever works. You know, they're like some people in their relationships or at work, they're okay with it being 70-30 or whatever, and that's balance for them. And then other people need 50-50. And then in different situations, you know, like if you're at the gym, maybe your trainer only needs you to do 20% or something like that, you know, and that's what works for them because they're getting paid. I just think in different situations, that's what it's about when we talk about balance, is the context.
I agree.
You said you had some questions, Ty. You said you had a whole list. Let's hear them.
Just said I have some stories. I didn't have no questions. This is Shalisha's topic, so I thought she was gonna take the lead.
How can we find balance here?
But I guess she's scared.
Well, I got something.
Need to find some leadership. But go ahead. You got it.
I got something.
Don't know where that went, but okay.
So Ty said something about Shalisha needs to find some leadership. How can we find balance in that statement?
Maybe elaborate
That's
more
subject
on what
to opinion.
elaborate more on what leadership skills she may be lacking in specifically, and then saying what needs to be developed to lead to better leadership. I think that can help find balance in that statement.
There you go. There you go.
It sounds like you thought because she came up with the topic that she should have gone all the way and led it. Is that what you're saying? No, Ty.
Yeah, I think prospectively we all, well, maybe not all of us, but you and I have done most of the leading, and I think empowering the women on the podcast to take the leadership position that is always not given, and for them to feel more a part of it. I thought that she would lead the topic since it's her topic. She came up with it. So you got to own it.
That's balance. Is that balance to you?
Yeah, for sure. Women fought for equal rights, right? I mean, if we're gonna go back in history, they fought for equal rights and to be in the same room as men. So I was like,
make
okay,
somebody vote who don't want to vote.
Go. You know what I mean?
If they don't want to vote, they have that choice. That's freedom.
We're
are
basing
free to do as you please.
We're basing things off of feelings and not principles.
But we're not.
Don't let your feelings mess up your principles.
I mean, but it's not about that.
It is. You can't talk a big game on the podcast and tell people. You can't tell somebody to go out and do it for themselves and be a leader, and then you don't show by example.
Well, first off, I never said go do it.
But we good though. We good. Leader. I'm good over here.
I'm just saying.
I'm straight.
You can't. If it's not something you want to do, then you do not have to do it. The thing that I've been preaching on this podcast from jump is be true to yourself and do what it is you would like to do. I personally wanted to come up with the topic of the podcast. I came up with balance. The reason why I came up with balance in your life and finding balance in your life, because that is something that is personal to me right now. I am transitioning and doing a lot of things out of my comfort zone. I found exactly what it is that I would like to do and pursue in life. But my only issue that I'm having now is being able to find a healthy balance in it all, to where I'm not feeling burnt out, or I'm not putting too much pressure on myself to where I cannot do everything to my fullest potential and still get the results that I want to get. So that's why I said maybe we should talk about balance, because I can share my insight on that. Because without balance in your life, I do believe you can get burnt out. I believe that things that you're passionate about can fall short, and you can lose sight of your goals just because you're not focused on everything, or you don't have the right amount of energy into each of your pots that you need to. So,
And I think what Ty's saying is you should have came in with that flame.
I mean,
From
that's a personal opinion though. What works for him and what works for you doesn't necessarily work for everybody, and that's perfectly okay.
I mean, you can't be in a room. You can't be in a room for a leaders and be a follower.
What is the flame?
But I don't feel like I'm following. I jump in when I feel it. I'm a very passionate person. I felt this, so I jumped in and gave my explanation.
We didn't say none of that though. We didn't say you weren't passionate. We didn't.
But
say
just because you expect something for yourself doesn't mean that everybody has to do it. You said you feel like you and Robert take the lead on the podcast. There was never a discussion when joining the podcast that I needed to take the lead. If I wanted to, I'm sure that I definitely could, but I don't feel like if I don't want to, then I don't feel like I should have to. You feel like when you come up with a topic, you should take the lead, and that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. But just because that's what you view and deem for yourself does not mean it has to fit everybody. This is a podcast with 4 different people who have 4 different personalities and 4 different points.
This is where you get into your feelings. This is the part of.
No, I'm just simply expressing myself. You got to express yourself. The point of the
podcast. I didn't go that long though. I didn't need to explain it for 5 minutes.
And that's you. That's
the point of the podcast.
That's you personally.
Empower people. Empowerment. Teach people how to do different things. And as I just said, we were looking to empower you. It wasn't to put you on the spot. It wasn't to do this. It wasn't to do that.
Right. And I
none of those things. But I feel like if you're going to be about what you say, you got to walk the walk. You can't just be like, you can't cop out and be like, well, I don't want to do it. That it don't work like that. How you think I wanted to get on a podcast with Fitz? I don't even record myself. There's been uncomfortable situations out there with
choice. Nobody said, "Oh, you have to do this."
But it's still about
from my understanding. You guys decided to do the podcast together, and it was something you agreed to. Keyword.
Yeah, but it was awkward at first. It was awkward, but the whole point, the point I'm getting at is this, in the empowerment piece. If you're gonna talk about it, be about it. That's it. If you have your opinion, that's fine.
We're talking about finding a healthy balance in your life.
Okay.
I don't.
I'm just saying. Don't front like a leader if you're not a leader. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, go ahead, Fitz. You got it.
I don't feel like
you got it, bro.
I want to say
it, bro.
I think everyone's doing really well, and I feel
like I'm leading in my right. I feel like I'm leading in my personal life, and I take the leadership role when one I want to, and one I deem I need to. I didn't feel like I needed to.
Okay.
Yeah, different ideas of leadership. I'm more so on the side of like doing it all the way, but I don't mind, like Shalisha not taking the lead. Some people aren't comfortable or they don't want to, and that's fine, but the question that I was going to ask is, do you, and this kind of goes into what we were just talking about, what you guys were going back and forth about, was, do you think you have to take an active role in having balance in your life? Or do you think you can have balance without having an active role in it?
I think
who else going to do it for you?
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to be active in it. Anything you want in life, you got to be active.
I think
that's interesting that you said that.
Keyword is anything you want.
I think that balance, some people can achieve balance passively and some people can achieve balance actively. I think for some people, depending on what's on their plate, what their responsibilities are, they may not be waking up every day, jotting down their goals and getting whiteboards and doing a lot of different things to help them maintain that balance. Sometimes they just have it and it just you just from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, you're not really doing anything, but you seem very happy, very fulfilled. And it's not like you're out here reading, a bunch of books and doing many things to achieve that. And maybe, maybe below the surface, they're going through a lot of chaos and they're just not showing it. But, I've met people that on the surface seem like they're balanced in their life. And from what I can tell, they're not doing anything to actively achieve that balance. But that could just be my perception. And, you never know what's going on in someone's mind or life that they're not telling you.
I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Some people, it may just come more easy and it just may be natural.
Right. And of
They
course,
just
the
might
more,
have it. Yeah.
I think the more you try to do, like the more against the grain you try to go, like, being self-employed, becoming an entrepreneur, the more you try to go above and beyond, the more active of a role I think you have to play in order to maintain balance. I want to say maintain. I think it's easier to maintain balance in your life when you're not doing as much, but the more you take on, the more that comes to on your plate, the more you're going to have to actively do to maintain balance, to keep things in check. And so I think it just depends on what is your lifestyle, what are your, what do you want, and what are you trying to do? And that kind of determines how passive or active you have to be and how aggressively you have to try to maintain that healthy balance.
So I look at it a little differently. I agree with 90% of what you said. I would say that I think it's actually opposite from what you said when you said the more you try to do, the more active of a role you have to play in having balance. Because I think if you go to the gym often and you keep up on working out, you actually have to do less to have balance, like from a physical standpoint. Whereas if you don't go to the gym for 10 years and now you want to get healthy, it's going to take a lot more than had you have just been going this whole time.
I can testify to that gym statement.
And I think the same thing when it comes to entrepreneurship. Yeah, at first, if you're working for yourself, you're going to have to do a little more up front. But in the long run, if your business pays off, then you may earn enough to take off a few years and still be good. You're in control of your life more, instead of somebody comes in, they don't like you one day and now you're fired. That balance that you thought you had, now you have to kind of overcompensate to try to bring that balance back in. Okay. Whereas I think if you play an active role, I don't think it's about more active or less active. I just think, is it active? So even if you have a job, are you playing an active role in balance by investing? Are you playing an active role by, having a side hustle that's bringing you another stream of income? Like, it just depends on your situation.
So it goes hand in hand with habit building.
I think so.
And once you build certain habits and you do something long enough over a period of time, you no longer have to act. It's like you don't have to actively put in as much energy to maintain the balance because you have the habit. And so now it transitions to more passive because you were active with it for so long.
Right. At one point, everyone on this podcast was like crawling. They couldn't walk. And we all had to get balance. We all had to get, maybe not Ty. Ty came out walking.
Oh my goodness.
He was at, never mind. I can't say. Okay.
That's my leader.
What is that?
He walking like he talking, I guess. Go on and get it out. Go get it out, Ty.
I just said, walking like I talk it, like you said. We good.
Does that bother you? Does that really bother you that Shalisha didn't take the lead?
Nah, that's her downfall. That is what it is. She'll learn eventually, so I'm not really tripping on it.
What lesson do you think she'll learn?
Do
you think there's a broader lesson for people watching that maybe you see something in Shalisha that you think you can help somebody watching?
I think that's a downfall to not only Shalisha, but most people, um, because you may pass up on the opportunity you've been waiting for your whole entire life just because you feel a certain way. That's why I said never put your feelings over the principle. The principle is that you're trying to get this done. This is going to help you grow, develop as a person, but you don't feel like it because you feel this way or that way. And it's more of when you get into these rooms with people or you do certain business deals, you got to take the feelings out of it. It's more about principle and doing what you're supposed to do. So, I mean, she'll learn it eventually, I guess, but I'm not really upset about it.
Am I missing?
But to the question though, I think it's 50-50. I think 50% you got to be active, and then the other 50% let it be passive, and just let the cards fall how they're gonna fall. Because I feel like if you're working consistently every day, and just being consistent is the biggest thing for me. If you're being consistent, doing what you need to do, it's gonna go how you want it to go. So I definitely like the 90%, but I also have done the 50-50 as well, and that's worked out great for me.
And I think the crazy part when we do talk about passive is that passive could either be working against you or for you. So like if you're doing what you need to do on a day-to-day basis, that passive stuff that you're not paying attention to that you did is going to add up either for you or against you. So if you're getting up every day, you're hitting the gym, you're getting your cardio in, all that stuff, that's your active role, but you may not be paying attention to, okay, I worked out this amount of time, this amount of time, this amount of time for the last 7 days. You just know tomorrow I got to get up and do this. But those results, they're going to add up in like a passive way. Like you're not paying attention to them. You just know what you do every day. And I think when it comes to having balance in your life, you know, if you're striving for that balance, like if you understand what you need to do in order to develop the balance that you seek to have in your life, and you have a game plan and you do those things, at a certain point, you're going to have the balance that you want. And it's not about, I don't think it's about keeping balance. I think it's just about being aware of what's around you and what's in you and how that's affecting you. And I don't think there's enough conversations around like the mindset of balance. I just think that it's mainly like, you know, I need to find balance, but there's no like, what does that look like in terms of my mindset? Like what are my thoughts? How am I reacting to things? Like what am I focusing on? I think it's more so based on results and like, what does my life look like, but not what does my mindset look like?
It always sounds good to say it, but people never follow through.
So what would balance look like for everyone in their lives? Like if it was like 100% balance, if that exists, 100% balance, what would your life look like?
Oh, is this for everyone to answer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna go first.
I'll go first. I'll go first. But and there's actually like, there is a life balance workbook that I do offer for free. You could download it. Just gotta do a quick little plug, but it's really just, you know, rating where you think you are at in your life in these like 7 different categories, like financial, emotional, physical, all these different things, relationships, just rating where you think you are in these different areas. And then like, what do you want? Like we talked about where you think you are, where do you actually want to be in these areas? And I think it's important that people just take an inventory of where they're at and where they want to be. And maybe that can help them develop the balance. But 100% balance for me would be all of my bills are paid for with passive income. I'm able to live off of 20% of my income. I only argue with Tatiana once or twice a week. Good healthy meals. I can afford good healthy meals, all that stuff. I can do what I want when I want to do it without stress of, you know, how is this going to get paid? How is that going to get paid? I think it would change depending on what I want it to do. It's a hard question to ask
It is.
or answer. It's an easy question to ask, but hard to answer.
I just want to say, because we are, in a relationship, it makes sense that a lot of things that Robert wants are things that I'm going to want. So you did cover, as you mentioned things, I could see those being things like, okay, our income covering our expenses and us, having a large amount of expendable income that we can invest in other things or use to make our money work for us. I think that's, a good thing to want. Being able to afford food, which I think goes hand in hand with, our income covering our expenses. I think food is an expense, it's a necessity. I think the part of the reason why I shy away from this question is because I can't say I know exactly everything that I want. I think I know what I want right now, but that could change. But I mean, the only thing I can really think of within myself that I want is to just be a good parent if and when that happens.
Someday,
Yes.
someday it'll happen for you. You'll be a good, loving
I
mother.
wonder how soon.
Me too. Me too. You'll lay your eggs and they'll hatch.
I mean, I'm not a bird, but yes.
I thought raptors laid eggs.
I'm not
They
that
do.
either. I'm not that either.
What about you, Shalisha?
I'm a mammal. I give live birth. I produce milk.
Interesting.
Well, a lot of the things that you guys touched on as well, financial stability, the freedom to explore new ventures, because my mind gets interested in a lot of different things. Also, being able to just, I don't know, for me, I just want to be able to live life how I would like to live life. So I want to travel soon. So having that balance just means being able to achieve all of my endeavors that I'm pursuing to make sure I can do all that fun stuff.
Nice.
I do want to add to my list of wants, having a good relationship. Yes. It takes two to tango. So we want this to be good over here.
Sometimes 3.
What?
4. It's 2021. There's a lot of crazy
Don't
stuff
you
happening.
dare.
I'm
right?
talking about our relationship.
That's what
Oh.
you're talking about too.
Oh, okay. Polygamy is on the rise.
What?
Hashtag polygamy.
I mean, if anything,
I see it on Instagram all the time. They say that there's not enough good black men for these black women, so they're promoting polygamy.
They just poo
Really?
on them.
Yep. We may have to jump out there. you know?
Yeah.
Or people could just be good men. That solves that problem real quick.
oh wow.
Nah, that's not what that's about now. There's incarceration.
So slow your roll.
The private prison industry.
I didn't say
Slow your
in general.
roll.
I'm just saying, and for every race it applies.
That's
some
a
men just
typical-
aren't good men.
Well, we not every race. If we was every race, then we could speak for everybody. But we can't speak for everybody community. But that's a typical answer, a woman answer.
What? Dang. That's
But
provocative.
for me,
Hold on now. It's a provocative response.
for me, I probably just say having a lot of money and just living off the land and just investing that into visions that I want to see happen. Just unlimited money. Now, it's not even about me having all the money. It's more about me getting it and giving it to the things that I want to do. So for me, that's the piece for me, just living off the land, having all the animals that I want to have. And yeah, live in harmony, man. Be connected.
I think I was reading a book and it was saying time is the most expensive dividend that can be paid out or something.
100%.
That it hit me different. Let's see. I mean, this is such a broad topic. I hope we're doing it justice. But in terms of having balance, I know these conversations can be difficult, but I do think one of the most important things is just reflecting and sitting with yourself and knowing knowing what type of person you want to be, challenging the limiting beliefs that you may hold. And I think that's the biggest one, is challenging limiting beliefs. So what role do you guys think limiting beliefs have played in your life, or just in general that you may see in other people's lives, in them developing or finding balance in their life?
A big role. You know, you get in your own head and you can psych yourself out to where you're just all out of whack. You know, I'm familiar with limited beliefs and not really believing that I could do something, but it's kind of like affirmations, you know, you speak it into existence. So I feel like it's just a roadblock. If you're trying to achieve one thing, but at the end of the day, you're telling yourself that you can't, or it's going to be difficult or whatever, then you're not really going to be able to achieve that.
So pretty much limiting beliefs, they could play a roadblock, or they could be a roadblock into you finding your own personal balance within your life. All right. What about you, Ty? Have you observed any limiting beliefs in your life or other people's lives that you feel like this is holding them back from having that balance?
My personal opinion on this is that people are the roadblocks. I wouldn't say, I know we talked about limited beliefs, but I think it's just people getting into their heads. I feel like everything that we do it stems from us just being too evolved in our heads. And it goes back to the action, being active in your life and being active in developing your mind rather than just playing follow the leader.
So
that's no shot.
do you think the reason why being in, and then we'll go to Tati, but do you think the reason why it's so dangerous in people's heads is because they haven't developed their mindset?
Oh, 100%.
Like when we say we're in our heads too much, is that just because we haven't developed our mindsets, or is that just in general, it's bad to be in your head or your own thoughts?
It's both. It's an accountability issue. It's on you. That's why I have trouble with the finding thing, because like how long is it gonna take you to find it? If you got to be actively working towards that. You know what I mean? So I think it goes hand in hand for sure. I think it's an accountability issue. People, when you, like, from what I've seen in my lifetime, is people don't want to have that accountability. They don't want to. They know what they need to do, but it's more of them putting that find it word on it, and I'm gonna eventually find it, and then it takes them longer than it was supposed to. So I'm 100% accountability. Develop your mindset, getting out your own head, because everything is possible. Somebody says it's impossible until somebody does it. Impossible until somebody does it. Shout out to my guy. Can't think of his name. Gandhi. He said that.
All right. So what do you think, Tati? You always hit us with some of that wisdom.
Oh, goodness. Well, for me personally, limiting beliefs have never stemmed internally. They've always been from external sources. So I think an important thing, in my opinion, is to have a shield ready for the outside voices and opinions that you're going to come across. Because I think you mentioned this, Ty, people don't like to see people doing better than them. And so they're going to come, into your face and tell you what they think, or what they think you should or should not do, or maybe try to discourage you because it's a threat to them and what they're doing or not doing. Whatever the case may be, whatever their reasons are, you just have to be prepared to withstand the limiting beliefs of others, and don't allow their limiting beliefs to become your own, because it's one of the most painful things when you didn't think that you couldn't do something, but you didn't do something because someone else came along and told you that you couldn't do it. And for whatever reason, you allowed their limiting belief to and their voice to outshine or overshadow, I think, yeah, overshadow your own voice and your own belief within yourself. And that is one of, to live your life and to go however long, allowing that to be the case, it's very painful. There's a lot of regret tied in with that. And again, time is one of the most valuable commodities. So, that time that passes that you're not doing what you could do, but you don't do because someone else told you you shouldn't or couldn't or whatever, that's very painful. And that's something that you want to try to avoid that at all costs, because it's not something you want to live with. It's not a good feeling. And just be prepared for the limiting beliefs of others. It's easy to, you can always control what's going on with yourself, but you can't control the opinions of others. So when other people come around and they start trying to spread their negativity, you got to be ready for that, because there's no control. You just have to protect yourself, protect your mind.
So I do have a follow-up question, because that was a lot, and that was interesting, and it is a lot to unpack. And I don't want to, because I know there's a lot of people listening that they really felt what you just said. And I felt what you said. And I think I agree with like 95% of what you said. But one thing that stood out to me was that you were, based on what I'm understanding, you were saying that the limiting belief came from the other person and not from you, but it's your belief. So I feel like if like, for instance, I don't think there's any way that someone could have told Michael Jordan he wasn't going to be great. And that if somebody did, and then he said, oh, I wasn't great because they put their limiting belief on me, I don't think that he ever really thought he could be great. So I think that I think other people show you the limiting beliefs that you already had.
So maybe I should clear it up. I mean, that's a good point. And to be clear, you're always in control of your decisions. And I guess what I'm saying is, when I say where that painful feeling comes from is because you allowed someone else's opinions to influence your own, where before they had said anything, you may have kept doing what you were doing, but because they said something, now you've changed what you've done. And now you're regretting that you changed what you did. And that's where that regret comes from, is because I let them get in my head. But the key word is I let them. And that's the key. It's always you, because no one's making me move my hand. I'm my brain told my spine, how that all works, the nervous system. So, it's talk you, but it's definitely, it's the outside forces, the outside influences that you have to be wary of, and just make sure that you're strong, and you're set in your ways, and you're not easily moved. You got to be a mountain. When the wind blows and the thunder rumbles and the lightning comes crashing down, and all these different things, and tornadoes and tsunamis, I'm looking at the mountain, and the mountain's still there. The mountain might get worn down, mountain get old, mountain start looking like the Appalachia. If you was looking like the Rocky Mountains a bit ago, now you're looking like the Appalachia. You can get worn down. That's just the evidence of how many storms and how much you've weathered. You got to weather everything. It's you just got to be that rock, and you got, no matter what comes your way, you gotta do everything in your power to prevent yourself from being moved for as long as you can. Because allowing yourself to be moved, that's a weakness on your part, and it just hurts to know that you allowed someone to move you when that you're better than that. But sometimes the right person, I say right, because it's like, the square don't fit in the circle, the square don't fit in the triangle, the square fit in the square. So when someone comes along and they're that square that fits your square hole, you know, and it's the right fit. They got the right combination. They said the right things in the right way. They formed a relationship with you in the right sort of conditions to where they gained enough of your respect and enough of your tolerance, maybe is a word. I don't know if tolerance is the best word, but they got into you. You let them in enough to where now they're saying stuff about you. They're saying stuff to you. Their influence is coming in. And because of the relationship you have with this person, you know, you're allowing their influence to influence you, you know, and whatever regret comes from that of course it's on you. But if that person had not been there, you would have kept doing what you were doing. And that's, you know, but ultimately it is, you know, you doing it. It's you moving your hand and making your decisions, but their influence, you know, is playing a role, and it's being able to withstand that influence and stay true to what you want and to yourself, you know. And that's hard, you know, and a lot of people don't go their whole lives perfectly doing that. You know, I don't know anyone that has, but they might be out there.
Well, what do you think, Ty? Because I know you're big on self-responsibility, and Tatiana just unpacked a lot right there. So what do you think? Because what I heard her saying was it is on you, but at the same time, there is room where, you know, it's on them a little. And I don't know, like it sounded like, because you said but at the end, like you said all that, and then you were like, but yeah, you're like, you said all this. I want to get Ty's opinion real quick, and then you could respond.
I agree with Tatiana. I think ultimately it is all on you. I don't think it's on anybody else. If you let somebody come in and control how you live, then that's the ultimate form of slavery. Letting somebody else tell you how you're gonna feel. The biggest thing I see with people is their emotions. People are like, well, you made me mad. No, you let yourself get mad. You let me get under your skin, and that is your fault. I'm not putting a gun to your head and saying, be mad, be sad, you know, it's all on you. And once you master that skill of not letting things influence you or get to you, or, you know, you just let them scratch the surface, then you'll be good. But I 100% believe in self-accountability, man. Like it's an easy concept to grasp. People just don't want to. That's the problem. It's easy. It's right. It's within inside you. I can express that enough. Like if somebody comes and tells you, Fitz, you trash at real estate, you ain't never gonna be successful. You obviously not gonna listen to them, but if you do, you're gonna mess up your real estate because you're trying to consider their opinion, which is based with no facts or principles or anything like that.
But who lives let's say that it regret is. Of that is you. Fitz lives with the regret of them influencing him and his real estate business. And it's not that person who said that walks away and lives their life and does whatever they do and feels however good that, oh, I got this person, I took them down a couple levels and now I feel better about myself, you know. But the person that it ultimately affects and the person whose decision it was to make was Fitz. And that's, you know, that's what I'm saying. You live with that regret, and that regret is painful because, you know, you don't know what deals you missed out on in this time that you let them influence you to stop what you were doing and all that type of stuff.
And I do want to say to the person that's listening, where that's you, where you feel like you're being controlled, because I don't want to say being controlled. Like there are certain situations where it's like domestic violence and all that, but outside of those extreme situations, you know, there's a difference between feeling like you're being controlled and actually being controlled. And I would say, like, you can't hand somebody the remote and get mad when they change the channel. You know, like,
say it again.
You can't get mad. You can't hand somebody the remote and get mad when they change the channel. Like you gave them the remote. So now that when they put Netflix on and you was watching Hulu, don't get mad. You gave them the remote. Matter of fact, the remote didn't have batteries. You went to Walmart and got batteries, came back, put them in, handed them the remote, and then they changed it. And then you said, what are you doing? You know, you're trying to control me. And it's like, no, you gave me everything to control you. And now you're upset when you don't get to watch what you want to watch or see what you want to see. And this is why I do the confidence coaching, is because there's so many people that live with these limiting beliefs that, you know, other people are the problem, or other people are if that didn't exist, then I would be here. But the problem is it does exist. Like, you can't just wish things away. You can't wish that you had balance and have balance. You can't wish that you were in more control and have more control. You have to take an active role in your own life. And when other people take a more active role in your life, then that's their life now. Like, your life is theirs pretty much. If you let somebody else take a more active role in your life, then you're going to be living on their terms. And this is why I say people that work a 9-to-5 job, you have to have something else besides that, because if not, you're playing an active role in somebody else's life. Like, you're kind of playing an active role in your life, but if you're not doing anything with that, then you're pretty much setting yourself up to be looking at somebody one day, wondering why they fired you or wondering why they don't like you anymore. Maybe new talent came in, maybe things have changed and you're just not a good fit anymore. You have to fit with your life. Like, you have to figure out what it is that you want and have the confidence to go out and get it. And if you go through a situation where you feel like this person got over on me, they controlled me, that what I want you to do is I want you to go thank that person. Like, thank them because they showed you something important. Like, we have to get away from being mad at people that expose the faults that we have in ourselves. You should thank that person. Like, thank you. You showed me that I wasn't as confident as I thought I was. Thank you. Here's a handshake. Here's $100, whatever it takes. Like, get that out your system and empower yourself. Thank you. You didn't harm me. You let me know $10 fell out my pocket. That's how I look at it. It's like, I'm not going to be mad at you for showing me something that I needed to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, thank you. And now I can move forward and make sure it doesn't happen again and get my life where I want to be. I don't see what's so bad about people exposing you to what you actually want.
To your faults.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be disrespectful, but if somebody exposes something about you in a respectful way, or say it wasn't what you thought it should be, but upon reflecting, you're like, you know what? I feel like that person got over on me, or I feel like this. Ask yourself, how did I let that happen? Not, oh, they got over on me, so screw them, they're this bad person. But how could I let myself be in the position for that to happen? If you don't care about it, don't care about it. But if you care about it, make a change. You know what I'm saying? If you care about it, make a change. If you don't, then don't. Right? Like, I'm not going to get mad at the city for giving me dirty water and I can go buy clean water somewhere else and I keep drinking the dirty water. It's like, you gave me dirty water. I drank it. I got sick. Now I know I don't want dirty water. So thank you for that. I wouldn't have known it had I not went through that. I can go get clean water now. Like, go get clean water if you want clean water. Keep drinking dirty water if you want dirty water. But you know now. Like, you have no excuse after this episode.
Talk.
I'll let somebody, because I'm heated now. I'll let somebody else go.
This guy. Hey, to answer your question, you was finna ask a question. What if you are the scenario that we have talked about? What if you are trash or whatever? It goes back to, even if somebody were to say that and they said it to you, it goes back to having a weak mindset. As long as you know that you're good, it doesn't matter what nobody else say. You can be trash. Okay, you might not be the best at the moment, but you working towards that. And that's why I say it's self-accountability. People have too many insecurities that somebody else told them that they have.
I want to
challenge it. If like when I think about insecurities, I think about people saying they're ugly, they're not, the social norm. And it's like, bro, somebody told you that you were ugly. Somebody told you that you're not skinny enough. If somebody didn't tell you that, would you have thought that by yourself?
I'm talking. Well, I guess I'm focusing on the part where you said the weak mindset, because I think you can have a strong mindset and make yourself and be vulnerable at the same time. I think you can have a strong mindset and the right person comes along. That's why I say like the square peg that fits into your square hole. Like you're a square hole and you're walking around and all these shapes keep trying to fit in your hole, but you ain't letting them in because you're not vulnerable to them. But the right person comes along that, you know, you allow yourself to be vulnerable with, and maybe you did have a strong mindset, but this person, they just got in you. They got in under you. You just let them in, you know, and then whatever happens from there happens. Would you consider that person having a weak mindset?
That still falls on you. Because if it's, and we talked about balance tonight, if you don't have a balance of being vulnerable with that person, then they're gonna be able to have control. They might say something and then it just sits with you forever. And then you develop ill feelings towards them because you're like, why would they ever say that? They're supposed to be on my side. La da 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 da. That's why you got to have that balance. So even if I'm vulnerable with you, nothing you say is still it's gonna scratch the surface. I may think about it and be like, okay, I see where they're coming from, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be added to my toolbox because I can only do me. Can't nobody else do me like I can. You can only do you. So they might have an opinion, but it weighs less on my scale than my own opinion. So, the biggest thing that I've dealt with people is the insecurities. Sometimes people have bad habits. I'm not gonna say they're toxic. People have developed bad habits from other people, and they try to bring them into something new. And I've had to confront people many a times on it, and they don't like it. They're like, well, you're not hearing me. You're not this. I am hearing you. But I'm also setting my boundary and telling you, you ain't going to do this with me. If that's the case, then, hey, I'm going to leave you where you stay.
And another thing that I want to add too, and those are important things, is like when we talk about vulnerabilities, oftentimes what someone deems vulnerable may not be deemed vulnerable to someone else. You know, like, so when we're expressing our vulnerabilities, if we don't make it clear, like this is something I'm vulnerable as far as speaking about or whatever, you may think it's a normal conversation. Like where I was growing up, it was considered vulnerable. Like if you talked about your feelings, but in some places talking about your feelings is normal. And you would look like if somebody were to do something or make fun of you for sharing your feelings, that person would be shamed or that person would be looked down upon. So I just think that it's context. And also when we talk about accountability, I think that, and vulnerability, I think that we hold on to what we want people to think about our vulnerabilities and our insecurities more than what we actually think about our insecurities or vulnerabilities. And it's like, I think it's almost like a you beat me to the chase type of thing. You know, like this is something I was insecure about and you said something about it before I could say something to myself about it. And that's where the anger comes from. That's where the frustration comes from. It's like, you beat me to it. You know, this is something I felt sensitive about and insecure about. And you mentioned it before I had the chance to deal with it. And now I'm upset. Like it is this thing. And I don't know what it is when it comes to insecurities, but it's like, you know, it's there, but when someone says it, it hits differently. And I think that's really why, is because they beat you to it. And it's like, I don't think it's communicated enough. Balance. Bars. Getting out the mud, showing love.
This guy.
You guys got anything else to add?
That might be a topic in and of itself, you know.
Insecurities.
Oh, insecurity. I was talking about, did we already talk about vulnerabilities?
Yeah, I think we did vulnerabilities, but we could do insecurities, you know, dig deeper into it.
Insecurities, vulnerabilities, and then where they intersect with mindsets, and having a strong mindset until you come across someone that maybe knows your vulnerabilities or you allow yourself to be more vulnerable with, and whether or not that means that person did or did not have a strong mindset because they're vulnerable with this one person.
That's what you said. Okay, can I respond to that?
Yeah,
real quick. So the strong mindset, I think you said, can somebody be vulnerable and have a strong mindset?
Yes.
Essentially, I think you can be vulnerable and have a strong mindset. I think it's when you're vulnerable and you have a strong mindset, I think you're okay with whatever that person thinks about you being vulnerable. Whereas I think what Ty was saying, like with the weaker mindset, is like, I was vulnerable to you, and now you caused this insecurity in me type of deal. Instead of like the person with the strong mindset is, I was vulnerable with you, I accept those vulnerabilities as my own, I take ownership of them, and regardless of what you say and do with my vulnerabilities, they're mine. I'm still a whole person, and I still matter, and I still have value. Whereas like the weak-minded person is like, I told you my vulnerabilities and you did this, you did that, and that's why I am currently this broken shell of a person, and I'm no longer me because I told you my vulnerabilities and you took advantage of those.
Yeah.
I think one is ownership and one is giving ownership away. Like you're leasing out your vulnerabilities and saying, here, do something with them, because I'm not doing nothing with them. You like dropping your bad kids off somewhere, like take them. I don't want nothing to do with them. And then they turn out bad, and you was babysitting them. Like, but those were your kids.
I hate that.
You shouldn't have given them to nobody.
No, that's terrible.
They was your kids.
Yo, take care of their kids.
All right. One practical piece of advice or tip. Let's go. Who wants to start it off?
As Fitz said earlier, time is the most expensive thing you can never get back. And you gotta start being self-aware. There's no reason you shouldn't be self-aware every day, 24/7. It's not a switch you can just cut on and off whenever you feel like it. You know, a lot of people get upset to be not where they are, not only in life, but also physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. That's your fault. You need to get it together. Stop wasting time. Let something else program you, or developing your thoughts, principles, whatever, off of social media or the people or trends, and get some of your own. Sit with yourself. Stop being a robot. Stop following everything else. That's all I see nowadays is people being robots. How many people are actually them true selves? And if somebody says that they're them true selves, I want to challenge it.
It starts when you're young too. Like I've seen a lot of people, you know, I can just remember so many kids that I grew up with and went to school with, and just parents and teachers and peers just beating you down. And we don't really live in a world that encourages that, in my opinion. You know, me being me, I know I came across a lot of opposition to my personality type, to me being myself. And people were always trying to get me to change, you know? And I got lucky. I came across somebody who told me not to change when I was very young. And that stuck with me, what they said. And that gave me a lot of strength, you know, especially when you're younger, you know, that can make a big difference. But, you know, a lot of young people don't come across that person. And when all you hear is change, 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 conform, 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 you know, I hate to put the blame on a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, you know, these young cats that's out here, and it's like, you know, you get told to change all the time. I mean, can it be helped? You know, it's like, I see what you're saying, definitely with the accountability and self-responsibility, but we do, as a society, I think we have to take accountability as just a whole human race, how we're treating each other and accepting one another. You know, I mean, definitely, you know, just understanding that our words do have power behind them, you know, however little or big you think what you're saying is, you know, you're affecting somebody with the things you say. And we don't have to be hurtful towards one another. We can be loving and accepting, but you know, when we're not doing that, and now we're over here like, well, I said these hurtful things, but it's on you. And you know, and that's true, but you know, we could also not say those hurtful things, and taking accountability for the things that we say to each other. I think that's important too.
Are they hurtful, or is it just their perspective?
No, I'm talking about, like, you know, oh, what, disrespect, huh? Oh, I don't know.
I said, is it hurtful or is it their perspective?
I think the way people take it, it can be hurtful. And I do think that it is on that person to interpret it on whether it's hurtful or what that person's intentions were and all that other stuff. But I think, you know, we are humans and part of us is emotional and we have feelings. That's just human nature. But I really think it's how you prepare your mindset to deal with those things. If you know you live in a world where people are going to say negative things, then it would be wise to develop tools to deal with that so that you can kind of mitigate the damage that's done.
Yes.
When you run into those. It's almost like having car insurance. It's like you don't want to use it, but you know that people can drive crazy and just accidents happen as a way of just that's just the way that it is.
That actually segues into my tip. My tip is, you know, just be prepared for the negativity you're going to come across in this world, because it is going to happen. You know, be a nice world if that didn't happen. But, you know, my tip is just, you know, have that shield prepared, you know, that waterproof coating. So whatever someone wants to splash on you, it just rolls right off. It don't stick. You know,
Get your raincoat.
That's a long tip.
Well, I got a long spear.
Just the tip.
I got a long
she said too.
spear and I got a long tip.
And
I'm gonna poke you with it.
Oh,
I'm gonna poke you with it. Go get it with me. I got a long tip. I put all the hot dogs and the fajita veggies and the bell peppers and the onions on it, and I'm gonna roast it over the fire. And the long tip mean I got a lot of food, and I'm gonna share it with you.
So it's just all up in you.
Huh? I'm talking about food.
Some might say
it's
so.
cooking.
It's cooking.
It's cooking.
And you about to eat it.
The food?
Yeah.
Soon.
When it's done cooking?
Just
So
wait
my
on it.
practical piece of advice would
Let's
be
get into
my practical piece of advice, whether you are finding it or developing it for yourself, balance is essential, because without balance, you can ruin all of the plans and goals you have for yourself.
Very, very, very wise words we've heard from everyone. My practical piece of advice would just be to think about your championship day. Like, I think everyone should have a championship day, and everyone should have a championship day and try to live that championship day every day. And your championship day should not be about what results you're going to get, but what actions you're going to take. So on your championship day, what actions are you going to take? What time are you going to get up? How much water are you going to drink? Like, be very detailed. What are you going to do? What does that championship day look like? And every day that you get up, you should try to live that championship day. And eventually you'll have that balance. Like, you'll look back and you won't even remember what it used to be like. You'll just, you know, you'll be a result of all of the actions you've been taking, and it'll be your championship day, and it's in your control. So that being said, if you have not liked the podcast, make sure you like it, subscribe, share, all that great stuff.
Piece of advice.
I thought Ty went first.
Oh yeah, no.
He
said where
She
said that.
she wasn't listening. Hard of hearing.
What? No.
Anyways, from the bottom podcast.
No, I think it was confusing because you had repeated something that Fitz said earlier in the podcast, and then said it was the
No, people just hard of hearing. They're selective on their hearing.
Oh.
He said, my piece of advice is that time is most expensive commodity.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Getting out the mud, showing love.
Always gonna be say you're.
Let us know in the comments what you think.
Getting it out the mud. Show us some love.
There you go.
Any topics
No,
you want
we're
us to
talking
cover.
I already did it.
Any topics you want us to cover. That's From the Bottom podcast. We out.
Gang.
Peace.